This here, so welcome everyone to this random live stream, because why not? Got some cheap used crap from eBay. This time a PCIe graphic card, because you have seen recurringly we have very little with our Mac heritage here. So one of the few graphic cards I purchased here for all the PCIe testing is here this AMD RX 560D. Unfortunately, this Chinese SKU here, this 14 instead of 16 shader nonsense. You have seen this already. Otherwise, PCIe only PowerPC and like GeForce 6600 LE and also the GeForce whatever other this was from the G5. And obviously we cannot just plug it in, and we want to do more testing and tinkering and virtualization and everything. So I don't want to spend here so much money for latest and greatest, and we will of course buy AMD, whatever the name was, what was the name, Navi, soon. But today here we got from eBay one of the cheapest, maybe the cheapest graphic card I ever purchased. $5, European bucks, €5. Can't complain about this. What did I get here? Matrox from back in the day. And so this is a Matrox. Maybe you've never heard about this. Back in the day, Matrox was known for really high-end signal output, very sharp signal, VGA, analog, goodness, you name it. And also it was one of the first companies who had useful Linux drivers with Matrox G200 and as such. So I have a similar card. You have seen this in my thin client Hewlett Packard. I have like similar to this, but with PCIe. Then they have, because the chip is, the GPU Parhelia is native PCIe from probably also already 15 years ago. The other card that I got for the thin client, the transmitter efficient thin client, was with a bridge here. So then it has here like somewhere here like a bridge that you also have seen in my external PCIe USB stuff and PCIe to PCI bridge stuff, so regular bridge chip there. So why did I get this? So first of all, they're cheap, right? If you want something, because I prefer the digital output. So this of course he has 2 times DVI, and Matrox is also known for massive multi-monitor setups. They were also one of the first with surround gaming with triple monitors. So this has of course DVI, which I prefer, and for €5 it even came with 2 of this DVI analog pin here to VGA adapters. Not that I would use them too often, except for the VGA capture of vintage stuff. I have it here somewhere on my crowded desk. Oops. So the only reason I would need this, but again I have this here, is for the VGA vintage capture stuff here for the Epiphan binary only crap driver nonsense. But nonetheless, well, like kind of for free, whatever. And yeah, need to try it out. So the only drawback is it doesn't have an amazing Linux driver, but it doesn't matter so much. I want just to have some working stock, well, hopefully working stock. So we plug this into our Ryzen build, because why not? Also, you have seen me for posting one of the first videos, because this is also the drawback if you have Mac crap Apple stuff. Not only is it not amazing, you can't also service it like this. So then if something breaks, you need to order and wait, and can't even like easily third party buy your Mac Pro expansion MPX stuff there if your graphic card overheats or whatever, or yeah, overheat certainly, as Apple has a known track record of overheating GPUs and chipsets and CPUs and basically everything. And also for posting, so when I built this Ryzen build, I'm not even sure what I plugged in there. What did I even use for posting? Alright, I actually purchased a €60 AMD Radeon, but it was so crappy, passively cooled, it became so hot, I actually returned it. Usually I try to avoid returning stuff, but this passive cooled outdated crap really was not worth it. Then I rather have a €5 eBay card than this. And to be fair, for the returned money, this was at Conrad, because they had the cheapest, like $50 Radeon 5800 something or what that was. And to be fair, I returned it and got a hot air soldering station that not only was even hotter, was also really useful. We had already a lot of fun with that. then obviously not the most thrilling to install a card. Here I mostly am interested if it works. There you see why people want a modular Mac and not this trash can overpriced cheese grater nonsense. And yeah, so much too. People can't service their GPUs themselves. And yeah, also so for posting, even if you use them headless, if you build, not that I endorse here mining, but whatever, compute nodes, artificial intelligence, and you don't really need a fancy GPU card in there, just get some $5 card. The only drawback, so not only does it not have a Linux driver, this is really sad. I repeated this already multiple times. There is a repository, so this is Parhelia. Actually, I wanted to show this shortly. Maybe I should have a second ago. So this is, of course, this one here. Unfortunately, so this later, this is a P690. They are a little bit LX, low performance, cost down edition. And as usual, as so often, so when it came out, this Parhelia was not too bad in 2003 or whatever, then 2002-ish, you see, 15 years. But this is a later card, cost down, low power down. Here this is like Parhelia LX or something with a Matrox Millennium P690 or something. So a little bit convoluted here, not really sure which of those it is exactly. But again, it is not the highest performance, but the added benefit. My hobby here, tinkering, reversing, also trains my brain for reversing other commercial stuff we might be doing. And yeah, just fun stuff. Maybe as an added bonus, as I really try, probably I will try to switch the format here of this live streams a little bit. But my goal was also to finance open source stuff. Is it here written 1 or 2? There's AS at the bottom. And so ideally I could even also try a driver for this, not really sure. But maybe this is also why I brought this. Yes, it's a little bit of a challenge without the Linux driver. Well, actually there is a binary only driver, but you know, this outdated stuff, the binary only no fun for an X server in Linux kind of from 5 years ago. Isn't really worth it. But we could do this, use this for education and do MMIO tracing here. MMIO tracing probably also should need, which keyboard do we? BIOS key, maybe I should actually, could probably just switch back to the other scene, so probably not. Because if we take a small Apple keyboard, this might not have, what do we need? We need Dell, this probably maybe doesn't allow us to go into the BIOS. What other keyboard do we have here in stock? Except mostly Apple crap. Which keyboard did I, actually wait a second, I have here, this is Cherry. Let's take this Cherry MY, and yeah, so we could use this for education and try to reverse this for a Linux driver or other low level. But for the other low level, I will do other stuff. For example, the Silicon Motion Lynx 3D, just for the fun of it, from my transmitter Crusoe, and then also. Let's power it on. So this is not on the highest priority list for reverse engineering, but we could do so another day. But again, not the highest priority, but we could do this. How you would do this, so either you disassemble the Windows driver, or there is no other signal. It should be in here though. It's already off to a good start here as usual. So you either could reverse engineer the driver, which is not that much fun, and legally, now we have post here, something apparently. Not the greatest, we have really post. That is good, so that card works. This is what I wanted to quickly test here, as so often, so we can probably just boot this. Again, here my tinkering system, AMD Ryzen. And this also means if you do normal 2D stuff, you also don't need to spend here, especially if you're on a budget, a student or something, you don't need to spend here so much money. The only drawback is it does not have the highest resolution. The maximum resolution is 1920 by 1200 or something, maybe just the resolution of that here. And wait a second, I should probably have actually changed this boot stuff, because this boots without EFI frame buffer due to pass-through. Anyway, so this worked. Then we can also continue here remote logging in, because this is what I wanted to do next. PCI pass-through is because this is what I did experiments with the last time we did something with this Ryzen. And so what, in my opinion, so you could also do a mix, disassembling the Windows driver or something, but again, huge stuff. This is not fun, disassembling all the Windows DLLs and stuff. And the other thing is you can do MMIO trays, set this up, for example, probably also even with PCI pass-through, I would think, but this would be the topic of other videos, to reverse engineer this and track all the register writes to this card. In old-fashioned times, without virtualization, you could have do MMIO trays or memory mapped IO trays running an X server. If you have like an X server here, well, there are X servers or drivers from Matrox, just not amazing, but only outdated stuff. And otherwise, you would, if you don't have an X server anyway, only Windows driver, probably wire it up also with hacking around with a virtualization PCI pass-through and trace all the writes and then try to decipher this. What I would also suggest is to do, this is usually best with small example programs. For example, let me just, because if you do this, you will have really many writes, and it is really hard to find out what all those writes are doing, and due to that, it is usually best to have well-reduced test cases, like a single line, a triangle. So it's then probably good, if you do this more often than once, have some, it's also probably, did I plug in? Very not clever of mine. Ethernet would be there. Not really sure, does it have a static IP or not? Not that we missed our DHCP window, but maybe, it works. So let's switch back here to that scene. And yeah, otherwise you have 10,000s of or 100,000s of register writes. That is really hard to decipher. And yeah, Berlin, just here, emergency situation next door as per usual. Fire brigade and such doing their stuff. And probably super tiny, but this, I will also probably need to find better programs. By the way, if you have a recommendation for a window manager that is simple, also really hates this Unicode stuff. No. So yeah, Matrox Electronic System Limited Millennium P690. And because we booted, we could actually reboot, but we will anyway only get an EFI frame buffer. Next, I wanted to install here also, because the pass-through was not yet amazing. I had this setup here, services, VMs. I had this setup here with Linux actually. So we had here, it's super tiny, I know, sorry for that. And we had a pass-through with Linux here for testing. And I also wanted to use Windows and certainly Mac OS. But that is a topic for another video, and that is also why I can't always experiment here with this Radeon that I need for other stuff. I can't always take it in and out, and this is why it's really good to have plenty of stock here. Certainly, by the way, it's not getting so hot actually. So the PCIe, maybe this is newer silicon or something. So this, don't even see it. Because it was also, I didn't use the other card. Again, I have a similar card. This is why it's not even too bad of an idea to do a driver for this, because I have two cards of this now. And the PCI bridge card really was getting maybe slightly warmer, which is why actually, ironically, I didn't even use it in the Syn client because it was thermal throttling the transmitter efficient. This is why I didn't even really end up using that. So yeah, this is so this works. Yeah, you probably knew it already. You can really get dirt cheap stuff. And again, the reason I would wish I would have here the non-LX Parhelia, but then I'm too much of a cheapskate for that, because as this card's again $5 here, certainly dirt cheap for some random test material. And yeah, Parhelia, by the way, entry level price $400 US. And there are also 4 heads, so there are special cards with special connectors, but I don't like the special dongle snowflake connector stuff, so they are really high density plugs there, and certainly for the quad head stuff, for digital signage, airports, stock market and stuff, banks and whatnot. And it's not a shuttle PC, this is a Silverstone SG05 or something. That we use here for compute nodes, so we have a bunch of those. This is just my latest test setup. My job is, my company, I run my own company that is Exact, well, not Exact Scan, but Exact Code. We also do accept side embedded Linux and server-side virtualization stuff for companies and such. We also do retail products for mostly macOS, but because macOS sucks more and more, this is why we are getting away from Macs, and so we ported this to Windows and Linux. Here, Exact Scan for Windows now. Never thought that I would end up doing Windows software, but it's written amazingly portable, so it is like nearly pixel perfect identical to the Windows Linux version, and we actually developed this on Linux because Windows sucks too much, and company is here. So that is what we are doing, and we are not trying to build a YouTube channel because macOS peak bugs and it's no fun anymore, so then better run a YouTube channel than bother with macOS. Also hydration. Yeah, so I will probably next, first of all, so as you mentioned, job, yes, I need to continue my job actually, just a little bit lunch break stuff. And yeah, so this cases I made the Ryzen build, so you find a video of this Ryzen build from last summer, because we are getting back to regular PC hardware because can't buy the latest Macs from the last years, obviously for so many reasons. So this also is a YouTube video. This case is already super old. They still make them, I think, so we use them for like 7 years. The only drawback is getting more like 3 storage things in here is a little bit of a challenge. So this has here a drive bay with 3.5 and 2.5 inch, and can also change that camera view. And let me just adjust here the camera a little bit. So this is the only challenge, but again, we don't have so much storage, so storage wise 3.5 and 2.5, or what it was, it's 3.5, right? And otherwise, here we have on misuse is a little bit, this is for a slim CD-ROM optical media stuff, but we just screw in here a third drive. And this drives, by the way, are not amazing, I can't recommend them. I made a slide video about this shortly because they load their heads really often, and just after like running it 48 hours, it had already, I don't know, a random number from the back of my mind, 3,000 load cycles or some nonsense like this. I made a video about this also, but I did not know that they are SMR, this shingled or so magnetic recording stuff, so they have really slow write speeds, really annoying. Can't really recommend this Seagate whatever. Didn't really make but this amazing is that in 2.5 inch but super high, right? This is like 13 millimeters or something high, like super high, but again it fits in here, right? And yes, this is the only drawback, that this it is super large, right? So 4 terabyte in 2.5 inch by 13 millimeters. It's kind of amazing, but the write speeds are super slow, even if it's mostly linear, because of this shingled also magnetic recording stuff. It's doing a rewrite of the whole track or multiple tracks or something. So this, even if I use this for YouTube video backup stuff for testing, and even this is super slow over the network with SMB SIFs. So even although the YouTube video saving should be relatively linear, I have not yet fully analyzed this. But again, this is what this channel is for. I will also need to do more about this. And there are being optimizations worked on for BetterFS for this SMR, this shingled magnetic recording stuff. But I think I checked this already 6 months ago because there are new ATA commands for optimizing this SM shingled recording to identify, to query what kind of shingled setups these are using. And as far as I remember, as far as I did a quick look, those drives from a year ago do not yet support this ATA commands. So I'm not really sure if Linux would be capable of benefiting from this optimization. But again, this will be a topic of another video. We will do more analytics of this. Just a heads up, if you take even I think not only 2.5 but also 3.5 inches archiving drives might be often SSO, especially the high capacity ones like 10 terabyte in one drive or something, or maybe even soon 20 terabytes. This SMR, not amazing. Well, it's for like archiving, write once, read maybe. And just a heads up, not amazing, but yeah, sort of kind of works. Anyway, so not only for our testing, you know, developing our software for Windows in KVM certainly, because otherwise you can't end your Windows anyway. And I will try if the Windows 8 drivers, hopefully maybe for this vintage card, work also in Windows 10 if I'm lucky, in QEMU KVM of course, and then maybe another day we try to MMIO trace the register writes and maybe do a driver for this also maybe, but certainly autumn or winter. This is why you should share, like and subscribe. Because all this plenty of time spent here on this driver and stuff. So also, why do I do this? This path-through setup is not yet perfect. Even with an AMD card here, it was not working. Well, it was working in the OS side, but not. I wish the BIOS, open source EFI BIOS stuff there for QEMU-KVM, it was not like posting. So I didn't have the EFI BIOS post screen on the card, which I think it should do. And again, this is why we need more test material. And because, why do I need this? Because ideally I want to move all our macOS usage here on this, certainly macOS and not with the Parhelia. This is why we will have AMD Radeon and stuff like this for Mac OS in KVM. And so actually I'm also a developer, you will find for KVM QEMU, and this is why we really try. I made a video already, can't really earn that much money with open source unless once in a year we win some lucky stuff for example QEMU KVM. We have done for Silicon Valley startups also KVM stuff for macOS, and of course this is open source, and except maybe some performance tuning here and there that we did for them, and I don't know what they've done with it, but that is not my challenge. And if you Google this here, QEMU KVM, with my name, René Rebe, you will find other people have compiled stuff, because the majority of the work was done by a friend of mine, Alexander Graf, here in Germany, who is a really active QEMU developer and worked for SUSE and stuff like this. I think now he works actually for Amazon AWS. And then because he is busy, you know, people are super busy, and he is really super busy. He did so much amazing also PowerPC and whatnot, ARM and so on. He's doing really a lot of stuff. He can't also do keeping like macOS KVM stuff up to date. So I actually for 2, 3, 4 years I kept maintaining this, like forward updating, and I even fixed this a little bit here and there, a little bit fix and improvement. And there should be sites somewhere. KVM, actually maybe I should have Googled with macOS. Clever, not clever, Googling of the day. Somewhere was a website of someone at maybe this one here, CMU Education, and anyway, at some point in time it was mentioned here, but maybe rewritten. Anyway, so because it's changed, previous times it was mentioned here, patches and so on, but maybe in the meantime other people have forward ported and updated this old version here maybe, but also not, whatever, it was there at some, here, René Rebe. You see original work by Alexander Graf, additional kernel user space. Patches were contributed by René Rebes, so not making this shit up here. Patches at T2 and this and so on, but this is from a couple of years ago. No, everything is more upstream and more and so on. And yeah, so moving Mac OS X, we can't. Also, questions the audience: what kind of laptop do you use daily? So unfortunately, I use still my aging Retina MacBook Pro because we mostly done a lot of Mac stuff there for Extract Scan, so my daily driver is this one, but this is not a paid advertisement and this thing actually mostly sucks, can't recommend this. From the videos on this channel you've seen ThinkPads and Dell XPS and stuff. The Dell XPS are quite good, except those who have this annoying arrow key arrangement. Otherwise, personally, I like the ThinkPads the most. This thing is, Retina MacBook Pro is aging. I can't recommend the new ones, they suck totally, not only the keyboards and defects, but also thermal throttling and ports, and everything doesn't work for me, only this modern ports and whatnot. So I will most likely get a ThinkPad next, either the 490 or 95 Intel or AMD or something like that. The Carbon X1 was really amazing. And they show, let's see, updates, PS3 Linux. Yeah, PS3 is still there, but can't do. Over which did you watch their show? Which show are you? Christian people uploading over watch faces, not to mention. You mean the Apple show? Yes, the stand is amazing. I have here, by the way, 2 stands that came for free with the displays, amazing stuff. And yeah, also the display, I made this live stream about the WDC stuff, WWDC, and not, as I mentioned, you can watch this live stream, can't repeat always everything. I'm, as a Mac developer, not impressed by this. This is not what people were asking for, and the people who are applauding this, Apple fanboys, that say this is amazing and not overpriced, well, if you compare this with a Dell workstation, yes, Dell and Hewlett Packard have like 10-20 thousand euro workstation stuff, but again, nobody asked for this. People, Mac fans were begging for a modular Mac like a tower, which we have here, also G5 there and Mac Pro there. You have seen them on other videos on my channel. So people have not asked for this, and they made a Mac for not even the 1%. They made a Mac workstation for the 0.1%, which is hilarious. And the fans who applaud this, they are not doing their fan base a favor, because this is not what even I would normally afford. The most I've personally spent for a PC is for, actually could theoretically, it is just standing next to me, but again, we have videos and we made videos about this already, and then I need to continue with other stuff. So the most expensive workstation I personally brought is this one. And need to be careful. Actually scratched this a little bit. I was rolling here because now it's not as much used. So this is the most expensive workstation. My company, this is actually Exacode, because we are a professional company. A decade ago we made the mistake of, why are here some scratches? At least they polish a little bit. I really need to be more careful with what looks like. Maybe slightly sticky dust would be a pity. Yeah, I noticed already now that it's standing next to me, when you wonder why are some machines scratched. So my machines are usually pretty pristine, but with this YouTube channel stuff, things become a little bit more hectic here, and I need to carry things left and right here in this office. Also working, ideally if we hit 10 or certainly eventually 100,000 subscribers, I would actually migrate to a more amazing workshop stuff there that would need to be rented or purchased or whatever. Right now I need to work in our increasingly crowded, overfilled office here. And the problem is that now, previously this was standing nicely sorted away and of course used, but again, this is now such a slow piece of crap that it's not even used daily anymore. Dual processor, 8-core Xeon stuff, Mac 2.2,1, you can watch this in another video. My point was, so we purchased this, so the regular list price in 2006 was 7,000 euro or something, and at that time Apple had a program 20% developer discount, so we purchased this officially from Apple with 20% I think developer discount, so this was like 6,200 I think or something, and I would never do it again. Not only did they very quickly not support the 32-bit EFI, so they are very so stupid and incompetent. They shipped this with 32-bit EFI, so you can't, after already 3 or 4 years, you couldn't boot even their latest Mac OS officially unless you tinker around and hack it yourself because of 32-bit EFI. Really a shit move from them. And then I even purchased new Xeons, so I have here in stock 2 of those Xeons because I wanted to upgrade this for better performance and virtualization performance, and the Mac BIOS does not support them, so it wouldn't post. And this is, of course, if you spend this money, 6,000 euro for a PC workstation, of course usually you get BIOS updates for the latest Intel CPUs, but not at Apple. And this is in so many ways 32-bit EFI BIOS and no new processor support, and there you see it's the most expensive luxury workstation from Apple at the time, and just in 3 or 4 years time they dropped support for this, and this is not acceptable. And this is a recurring theme also on this Retina MacBook Pro. Where did I put it? Here. I made a video about this. Totally not amazed. Of course the new stuff you can't buy anymore because peak bugs and shit. So also what many people do not know, as I said, most of my stuff looks really good, but this, I use this heavily. So you see this keyboard, after 4 years of typing, this keyboard starts to disintegrate. And can you also focus, little camera, or not maybe? Come on, you can certainly, maybe focus mode, this focus mode. Can we focus here? Or something, maybe not. Maybe zoom out, zoom in. Anyway, so somehow this camera does not like to focus the most today. And yeah, so why should I invest money for this if all the stuff falls apart? Let's try to, yeah, but focus still works. So here we are. And when you take a look here, so this is, by the way, showing this stupid, no, maybe not. So you see these keys are disintegrating. So even though this is not yet butterfly, so at least this is still working after 4 years time. Job well done. But these keys are disintegrating after heavy typing, 4 years of programming, and you see, yeah, just heavily used keys, not all of them, and yeah, whatever. And also, yeah, I also don't like, I never liked here this rubber, I said this already, so this rubber here is also, need to check, do we have this in focus here, so this rubber in case is seen, because you always touch here when you open it, and this is also attention to details, right? This, I noticed this personally from the very first day, when I opened this the very first time, that you always touch here this stupid rubber. And of course, in 4 years later, this rubber is totally disintegrating there. So, yeah, not a fan on so many levels. It's not really worth it. And this Apple quality, it's simply not there. It's a hype. It's really, I get the ThinkPad. Anyway, slightly digressed. I hope you enjoyed this live stream anyway. But somehow I'm wondering what is here with the focusing. But now it focused again more. Not that the camera broke here. Anyway. Thanks for watching. I have more PCIe pass-through to test here and tinker, and then also eventually macOS to run in this, also for you to have some educational stuff. And what else did we miss? Yeah, ThinkPad X61S was good. By the way, apropos keyboards, the only thing, so I also got a mechanical keyboard because getting away, so basically everything, getting back to the PC, everything is amazing, only very short out. So this mechanical keyboard, I also made a video about this, and because we're getting a professional again and not with this Apple nonsense. And the only thing, so it's mostly amazing, but so not only did I later realize, wait a second, where we focus, not that we irritate here, it's a little bit high-pitched ringing, but whatever, this is complaining on a high level. You may not like it. Maybe you can dampen it or whatever, also maybe with other keycaps, but the print here is already starting to disappear a little bit, at least here on this semicolon key here. So yeah, but this is, I don't really care that much, although for the price of this relatively expensive keyboard, it would have been nice also if we would focus. So much to I wonder what the camera doesn't like today, but I changed the focus mode. Probably shouldn't have changed the focus mode. Okay, then let's manual focus if this is what artificial intelligence gives us nowadays. So yeah, here on you see the semicolon already. No, where's our focus point? But again, only a very small concern, but yeah, could be better, not the biggest thing of the world, but just that you're aware. Again, this keyboard is also a little bit vintage. I specifically got it because it still had PS2 support and we need this for our SGA Octane, obviously, and other vintage boards, 486, Voodoo, and maybe Rendition Verity if it arrives, you name it. Amazing stuff that we had so many people in the middle of the day. Mostly wanted to test this card. It works. How hot is it? Okay, now it's a little bit hotter. Yeah, so maybe actually temperature the same as the PCIe version, just that it was cool out of the box. But yeah, so you need some airflow on this passively cooled card because getting warm, but doesn't matter so much anyway. But it is getting not as hot as the AMD Radeon 5800 something that I got there for 50 bucks. Again, thanks for watching, amazing stuff. This video will be archived because I don't want to have so many random live streams on the main channel. So the recording will go on my More Live channel, where eventually I would do more of the random live streams, like in the middle of the day, just some office testing work, you name it, on the More Live with Me channel, on the suggested channel tab there on my channel. Just that right now we have 91 subscribers on the other channel. This is why I usually start them here, and then right now I archive them on the other channel, but eventually if we hit there a couple of more 100 subscribers, the more random daily live fun IT office stuff will be then on the other channel. Just a heads up, not to that you forget subscribing there. And Christian using slightly beefed up E540 if I need the power, but most of the time I just bring one of the small toys, and yeah, you're welcome. Also more amazing stuff. As per yesterday's MIPS, like Rendition Verity, why have I done this? Because I wanted to get into the mindset of more assembly writing stuff. Then it's usually, in my opinion, good idea to practice with something little challenge there on the afternoon lunch break, and then maybe we really do more RISC-V stuff, because ideally I would want to do more experiments with high performance just-in-time compiler stuff, and of course more graphic programming, and also PS3 another day. I also, by the way, PS3 we have the boring task of, by the way, can also bring, what are we even showing? I need here more. By the way, which window manager can you recommend? I need an upgrade for Blackbox. I'm still using Blackbox here, and so PS3 is not forgotten. We also need to do another stuff. We need to test Linux 5 soon, and because they have rewritten, I think they removed one API of block layer API stuff, so we need to port this, or actually the upstream vanilla kernel was ported to this multi-queue IO API, but we have our storage driver here for running in GameOS. We have multiple storage regions that the upstream driver does not have for the official but removed other OS stuff from Sony. So we need to spend an afternoon, unfortunately. It's not so simple because the API changes. We need to have some management API glue for our 4 or 5 regions here that we have running in GameOS. So that is another boring task, but is necessary if we want to continue running the latest kernel like 5.0, 5.1. We need to do this, and then of course another day RSX. And again, this stuff is crashing so often. Why do I not continue as much? Because I rather want to do more educational and fun stuff, and if the RSX is crashing, if it doesn't like something, it's not as fun as I reboot this constantly, and I don't really need this necessarily for something. So, but you are welcome if I rather educate here you also with Voodoo and Verge and Rendition Verity and other modern stuff that you can use on a daily basis, and maybe someone of you also wants to contribute on NVIDIA RSX code for the PlayStation 3. DWM, let's see. So yeah,